Let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm Cliff Stockdale, and I'll be with Butch Mizuka. We're kind of co-chairing the competition this year, and Butch is unavailable tonight. He had a conflict. It'll be me. So first, I want to see, welcome the new members that we have that have officially joined the club. And just a reminder for folks, if you're not talking, if you can mute, it's just that we don't, hear the background noise and all that. But we do have a few new members who have joined the club since we last met. I'm not sure if they're all on here, but Richard Carter. So is Richard here?
New Amsterdam.
Yeah, I know. Next week, I'm really excited.
Steve Wilton is another new member. Thanks, Steve. And then Danny Teitelbaum. I know Danny's there. And Michael Williams, who heard was not able to join tonight. So welcome to all the new members. And let's see, do we have any visitors here tonight? We might have a few, possibly.
Looks like Sheila.
Sheila. Yeah, Sheila Messmer. You a visitor? Oh, you're on mute.
You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I visited last week was the first time, and so this will be the first time I'm seeing the competition.
Okay, well, great. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Grace, is Grace still on? We saw Grace. Any other? All right. Any other visitors here tonight? All right, well, let's just move on then. Sean, maybe you could just say a quick word about the program that we'll have coming up in March.
Yeah, thanks, Cliff. So March 10th, we will have David Kingham. For those of you who were present last year for Jennifer Renwick's presentation, David and Jennifer are partners. And so David's a full-time photographer and based here in Colorado when they're not traveling with their cats, as they are right now in Death Valley. Talking to them, they'll be heading back this way on the 7th. But David is going to give us a talk on ideas of what to shoot on those bluebird sky days. Obviously, as photographers, we always want the magical sky, but you don't always get that. And some people are purist and don't want you to use the AI that's coming out in the new Photoshop, Luminar, throwing in fancy skies. So, David will give us an idea of what to shoot on bluebird days. So that's what's coming up on the 10th. Thanks, Cliff.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Well, we have our judge tonight is Russ Burden, who's judged a number of times in the past. So, Russ, thanks for coming. I'll just give a quick bio on Russ. So Russ is an internationally published photographer and owner of Russ Burden Nature Photography, Safaris, and Tours. He's been leading safaris, tours, and workshops for over 30 years to numerous locations around the U.S. and is now specializing in African photo workshop safaris in Tanzania. His images have appeared on calendars published by Inner Reflections, Kodak, Audubon, Sierra Club, and National Wildlife. He's a multiple award winner in the National Winland Smith Rice International Nature's Best competition. Many of his photographs have hung in the Smithsonian in Washington. In addition, Russ also writes the photo tip of the week for the renowned outdoor photographer website and has 2 books to his credit: Photo's Complete Guide to Photography and The Best of Nature by Amherst Media. So Russ, welcome. I'll let you, say a few more words if you want to, and then we'll just, if everyone, like I said, if everyone can mute, and you may want to drop your video too, just to give us a little more bandwidth for people that have slower connections. But go ahead, Russ. And
Well, thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. I got the email from Butch, and of course, I'm gonna, a club that I used to belong to, and then life got in the way, and things get real busy. So you got to make choices and set things into priority. But that's the only reason why I'm still not with Focus. But as I'm looking at people's faces or seeing people's names here, now that everybody's blocked out, or not everybody, but a bunch of people, it's like, hey, let's do this and go get a beer or something. Love to be able to start doing that kind of stuff again. We'll see. I've got Safari scheduled for April. I get an email every day. It says yes, says no, it says yes, it says no. So I will know April 4th whether I'm getting on a plane, and that's kind of how it's going to go. It's been, needless to say, it's been kind of frustrating with COVID. I'm sure everybody, we're all in the same boat. It's just kind of a bummer, though. Just absolutely jonesing to get there. If you've never been on Safari, I guarantee you it will change your life. If you're into doing any kind of wildlife photography, any kind of nature photography, it doesn't get any better. A good buddy of mine, couple of good friends are up in Yellowstone now. And, you think Yellowstone, wow, Yellowstone is, the quintessential North American place to go photograph wildlife. He said they've seen a couple of bison, that's about it. Not even a river otter, no wolves, a couple of moose that were, a bazillion yards off, no fox, no ermine, and they've been photographing the roads being plowed. They said they're getting some good action shots of the roads getting plowed and all. So all's not lost. I said, did you use a slow shutter to get that nice blur of the snow? He goes, of course. So you're in Tanzania, and you go down 100 yards here, and there's elephants, or there's giraffes, or there's cheetah, and there's jackals, there's hyenas, there's bat-eared foxes, you get spoiled, and that's where I'm at. And I'm just jonesing to get back. Need it physically, need it mentally, and need it because my shutter finger is kind of out of practice. I need to, start pressing that sucker again. And oh boy, man, come back. It's amazing. When I come back, my index finger is like 3 times the size because of the muscle. It looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then it's shriveled back up to this thing now. So I don't know.
right.
I don't know what it needs, but that you asked me to say something, so I said
Yeah,
something.
all right.
So there you go. I'm done talking. Hey,
Okay.
I can talk for 3 hours if you need it. So I'd rather talk and critique the pictures and talk about that, seeing as that's the purpose of tonight. So
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then. So yeah, thanks, Russ. So Bob, if you can go ahead and share your screen, and we'll start off with 5.6 here. 5.6, first one here, silent pool.
sounds good. Okay. I like the treatment in black and white. The fact that it was converted shows an artistic feel. So I applaud the maker for that. Let's start to nitpick little details. This is minute, but when you look at the photo as an entirety, you need to do that. And I'm seeing that hose off in the distance. And the fact that it's cropped right off at the top, I would like to see the entire oval of the hose. Another element that I find just a little bit of a nitpick here would be that step that's on the far left, especially because it's dark. And the corners and the edges of a photo, you tend to want to have with a dark edge. So the fact that it's so small, I wish that the photographer, when they made the image, would have moved the camera 2 inches to his or her left to have picked up a little bit more of that step, so that that rounded off entryway into the image would have been made a little stronger. Then the meat of the image, what I'm seeing here as far as the actual subject, especially as I look at the photo for longer periods, is what's the ceiling being reflected into the water. And I'm seeing some nice graphic lines, but they don't have the boldness, they don't have the crispness, they don't have the contrast that you want to see on a black and white. Additionally, there's that section on the right-hand third that is lacking any kind of lines on the horizontal. The vertical backdrop does have some nice squares, and you can see how graphic they are, especially when you are talking black and white. So it really, really needs that extra oomph in that section where it's more on the horizontal there, where there are really no lines. I do like the fact that you did do the conversion to black and white, so I'm going to go 8 on this.
Okay. Next image. Flowers on wood.
Possibly done if it is a backlighting situation on a light box. I like the curvature that's going on here. It's got some nice graphic qualities to it. The composition is very clean. You needed to have cloned out that little arrow that I'm kidding you, Cliff, if you can unfloat the arrow from the center of the picture, it would help. I'm sorry, that was mine. Never mind. That was my cursor that was in the center of the flower. I like the lines. I like the fact that the bottom stick is on a diagonal and that you place this curved stick to frame the flower itself. 9 points on this one.
All right, next photo. Good time.
I'm just looking to see if you've got my favorite in order to give you a 10. I don't know. The taste in what it is that you consume it needs an upgrade. I don't know. What I'd like to see here is you need a little bit of fill. You need some light that's going to bounce back onto the labels. It's a clever idea, but you've got such vibrance coming through in those hot spots that those hot spots, those bright areas, especially down in that lower row, are so bright that they are acting as a distraction, and it's creating a tremendous amount of contrast. I'm looking at this as more, you were sitting at the bar and you kind of got under the influence of a few of what it is in which you indulged, and got out the iPhone, made a couple of snapshots, and created, a fun kind of image. Isn't necessarily a camera club competition image. I wouldn't bring it to that level. I'll go 7 on this.
Next, a tree celebrating.
Clever use of light as far as the color and the black and white mixture. I also like the position that you chose to make the image. The branches that merge with the Christmas tree itself are quite unfortunate, you know, short of cutting them down, which I wouldn't recommend, would be, would certainly help the picture. Some very judicious cloning would help. But then again, you've got the next branch that kind of goes across the crown of the tree. And then this other out of focus winter branch that comes in from the top right. I'd like to say that they're acting like frames. If you would have taken a couple of steps to the side, then you could have put the tree into that opening of where the trees exist now. It may have been tricky with which to work because you may have started to overlap those trees, but at least you wouldn't have gotten a merger with your primary subject. I'm gonna go 7 on this one too. I like what you did with the lighting, but there's a few too many other things for me to give it more of a score.
Okay. Luminance.
I'm seeing this as an exercise in practicing what it is that you need to do when you go out and photograph artificial light. That being said, what has been done to the picture, or what have you done creatively as the photographer to bring it to that next level past photographing something made under artificial lighting conditions? If you look very carefully, there are some areas that just don't have that sharp, nice look to them too, as if the camera moved a little bit. I'm looking at that, what could be a little bus stop sign or something like that. And even on that, it's not quite tack sharp. And there's other areas that are showing signs of probably camera movement going on here. And also your contrast range. The whites are so white that they are totally void of detail. As you progress through photography, you'll learn concepts called HDR, or using multiple exposures and then blending the images together so that you can maintain detail throughout the very deep shadow areas where they've gone to black and the very bright highlight areas where they've totally blown out. So I commend you for going out and practicing. And please, I encourage you to continue to do that, because that shows me that you, as that photographer who really wants to learn, is determined to do so. So I encourage you to maintain that. But now let's take it to the next level so you do something more than just record a scene made under artificial light. 7 on this one.
Pop-up book of mechano-electro engineering.
So a pleasant still life, fairly easy to look at. The lighting, very, very even. I'd like to see you try something a little bit more dramatic with lights, and maybe like a a little bit of a side light coming in that would be creating some more shadows. If you look at what looks like a gear, there's a nice shadow going to the right of the gear. But because of the positioning and the size of the other subjects that are incorporated into the composition, you don't get the opportunity to really see the shadows. You see the shadow side of the meter readout, and those telephone things on the right, but you don't see the actual shadow. The only two shadows that I'm really seeing are the shadow of the book and the shadow of the gear. But I really, for the sake of drama, want to see something that's got a little bit more drama to the light so that those shadows would be more pronounced. But pleasant and well thought out. So I'll go 8 on this.
Okay, and that is it for the 5-6 group. We had 1-9. She could show Flowers on Wood by Laura Blake.
This is very nicely done, Laura. I like this. Well thought of, well created, and it works for the subject. And when there is an assigned subject, I applaud you for going out there and working it, and you worked it well.
Is Laura on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
This was done with a light box, just like you said, and a shadow box.
Okay.
So it was all artificial. And I found the sticks close to the house and the flowers close to the house. I did it last summer.
I was going to say that those sticks look very kind of like from the Littleton Highlands Ranch area sticks as opposed to Denver area. So I could tell.
Actually, Southeast Denver, yes. Just walking along, picking them up. I have a whole glass full of those sticks. I like them. And I use that light. I have done other things with that light box like this, similar.
Okay. All right.
This one worked well. Those are red and they look good in color too. The flowers are red, but I kind of enjoyed changing the values.
The graphic quality, to me, I'm picturing the flowers in red.
They
but
were.
I'm liking the drama and the graphic quality of the black and white a lot.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Laura. All right, on to F8. Nap time.
The curvature that's going on with the head of the goose is nice. I do like the way that the beak is nestled into the feathers. The fact that the tail end of the goose is so accentuated. To me, it's the head, that bill, that eye that is right now sleeping. When you think of something that's sleeping, there's a connotation of rest and all, but when it's sleeping, there's really, especially when you think animals, where you want to see some life, some drama, some action, some excitement going on, to photograph a sleeping animal is very, very static. And that's the message that's portrayed here. On top of that, what's going on is your eye will always go to the brightest part of the picture first, which sadly, in this case, is the background. You want to learn some Photoshop vignetting techniques, or how to use the burn tool, or using different layers to blend darks and lights using levels and or curves. And you really need to darken in that background so that the viewer's eye is more attracted to the eye of the goose. 7 on this one. I do like the black and white. I'm liking what it is that you guys are doing with black and white. I commend you for that.
Working man's fireworks.
Okay, so here we've got a little bit of life, a little bit of drama going on, the sparks that are being shot, it's probably a medium shutter speed because these things do tend to blast out pretty darn quick. And you do have tack sharp quality going on the face so that there's really no movement there. To really get the drama centered in here, that upper left-hand corner, especially where there's a couple of little polka dots of white light, those could have been easily cloned out. And that whole section, especially where it looks like through a window, the basement window, possibly, that whole section needed to be darkened down. I'm even taking my hand and going like this. And by blocking that area, my eye is forced much more to the guy doing the spark work, the artwork, whatever it is that he's working on here. And that's what you want. You want the viewer to be drawn to your subject. And then whatever that white piece is that's off to the center left, that definitely needs to be darkened down. That really, really pulls the eye away from this guy doing his thing. This picture has the potential to be a solid 10. The way it's presented here, I'm going to go 8.
Parking garage of the DAM.
Nice abstract. I like the symmetry of the 2 levels of stairs. The chosen composition is good. If this were my image, I would have cropped off the top couple of inches because of the lack of stairs going on there with just, you've left it in there for the sake of including the ceiling of that upper level. And it's not really needed in there. And it's kind of crying out. It's looking for that one person placed in a strategic spot on one of the staircases to give some sort of human interest there, to give it that next level of abstract, because it's not abstract enough to say it's a complete abstract that's going to knock your socks off. 7 on that.
Night lights.
Okay. Kind of similar comments to that photo that was in the 5-6 group as far as fitting the category by going out at night and making pictures using artificial light, which is great. But what's going on? How about the couple holding hands just underneath the Pearls Saloon and Banquet Hall, shot with a slow shutter speed to kind of give some motion, or maybe them embracing in a kiss. You've got a beautiful little doorway with the 2 cars framing right there with a perfect background, or go in there and use kind of get in there and use just that particular area as your backdrop for a person being lit under these lighting conditions. As you scan the image, you'll see a lot of blown out highlights, a lot of deep black sky area. And the deep black sky area void of detail, the blown out highlights void of detail. When you're doing these kinds of pictures, the absolute 100% best time to photograph these kinds of scenes is at twilight, when there's that midnight blue level left in the sky, so that the sky has a tinge of color and you create separation between the roof lines of whatever buildings that are there and the sky itself. A 7 on this one too. If I could give it a 7.5, I would, but I don't think I can.
Okay, so that's it for F8. There were no 9s or 10s, so I think we'll just move on to F11.
Okay.
Rod reel ready for action.
Okay, let me, I'm looking here. Okay, yeah, where the inserts were of my, of the thumbnails, it was cutting off the right-hand side of the rod. I had to move that. I like this a lot. This has got very, very nice graphic qualities. It's a strong image. I love the diagonal of the fishing line to connect the circular part of the reel to the strong horizontal part of the rod. What's going to keep it from giving it a 10 is that I want to see it even more of a narrow kind of just total pano format. You don't need the top black, you don't need the bottom black. Just a straight, you know, kind of really, really emphasize the lines that are going on here. I like the top light. The top light is working nicely to accentuate and separate the key elements from the background. Very, very simple lighting here, but in this case, it works. I've been known to say it's all about the light, and in this picture, the light is really what's making this image, along with the beautiful seeing of the graphic quality.
Score?
9. I'm sorry. I did say what's going to keep it from giving it a 10 was that, yeah, so 9.
Okay. Enlightened elf.
The light is kind of interesting here, but it's very just static. It's a Christmas scene where you've zeroed in on the elf and you've exposed well, you've photographically, technically handled the image well, but what's been done to bring that to the next level? How about putting the camera on a tripod and doing a double exposure where you zoom in on one picture so you get those telescoping effect of the Christmas lights, and then you overlay the straight shot on top of that and paint away the streaks across the elf so you get these radial lines that would be coming out from him. It just needs to be brought to that next level. It's a study in light, but it's done well, but it needs to be brought to the next level to make it a stronger photograph itself. 8.
Snowballs.
Okay, I'm just studying what's going on here and looking at the different, the lines, the shapes, the forms, the glow of some, the almost three-dimensional look of the ones with some of the ones in green, red, and blue. The difference in the lighting, and I just want to make sure I absorb it all. I got to move this thumbnail thing again. Here we go, because it was cutting off the magenta colored ball in the foreground. That's better. Nice shapes, nice lines. I like some of the techniques that were done here. And although I see there's effort and work applied to the image, there's just, what it's lacking is that the individuality of a subject that makes it really become the primary focal point, that makes me say, okay, my eye's going to go there and start to look around from there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what it is I'm seeing now with the eye kind of going around, but I also want to be able to rest upon something. There's potential going on in that upper left-hand corner, but then what's the rhyme or reason with what's going on with the rest of the picture? It's a nice image, it's well lit, it's pleasing to look at. 8.
Cuffed and cornered.
Definitely tells a story. It's especially in today's times, it brings across a powerful message, and that's nice. Cropping wise, because of the way it's burned in on the left-hand side, some of that left-hand area needs to get cut. But I guess that's a bad word for this picture. Needs to be cropped off because you don't need that information on that left-hand side. The picture needs to be tightened up to really, really tell the story, because the peripheral areas on the right and left aren't really contributing to the overall message that I'm seeing be brought forth in the photo. My heart wants to give it, because of the message here, a higher score, but I got to go 8 because the fault of what it is that's on the left and right hand side.
Neon tunnel.
The leading line is nice. It works well. Here you've got the inclusion of some people. If the lineup of people, I'm sure what you did here is went down to a situation where you could have, if you knew people, if you were willing to talk to people, if you went down there with quote unquote models who could prevent these mergers and overlaps, you'd have a stronger image. You've got the setting, okay? The way that I like to explain pictures like this that I see, you've got the stage, but the actors are just standing there. They're not in the best position on the stage. A little bit wider angle lens so that you didn't crop off the curvature of the right side and the left side entryway that is that circle that allows you to enter. When you get the full circles that spiral throughout the rest of the picture, they're very, very powerful. This foreground one is it's a shame that that's cut off. I mean, this picture has such potential to be a 10, but because of those two major faults, I'm going to take a point off for each and go 8.
City of Light.
So this one is nice because you took it to that next level. You put on the cross star filter or added it post-processing, either way, or just using the aperture on the camera, you were able to replicate the cross star effect. Regardless how it was done, the fact that it's there definitely helps. The chosen shutter speed, which gives you the full unbroken line of taillights that travel in one direction, and then your oncoming line of headlights, a little broken up. Too bad that the traffic flow pattern wasn't a little bit more consistent. It looks like they're almost going down a ramp so that you can't see the full line of headlights, or maybe even bicyclists or something where they're getting lost and choppy and broken up. I do like the overall feel. Just a couple of little nitpicks there that is going to prevent me from giving a 10, so I'll go 9 on this one. Good use of the artificial light here.
Okay, Autumn Gold.
Okay, so I assume this would be, well, I mean, it looks like natural light. It's irrelevant. I do like the effect of the panning here. You can see when you look down in that lower section of the tree, just how much movement the camera gave, especially on those brighter leaves, where you can see the camera only panned up maybe a foot or so, based on those lines, and that's nicely done. I would really like to have seen the edges burned in more so that the trunks were more accentuated. The edges are a little bright on the fall colored tree, and I'd like to have seen the base of the tree included in here. The process is good. It's a process that's it's quite popular, but this is still done well. I would like to have seen the base of the tree included in the image though, and then maybe the camera moved even a little bit more to give or at a different pace to get the same effect, but so that you could have included more. 8 points on that.
Parachute Shield.
I don't quite know what I'm looking at. Roots of trees, cave formations, combination of both. Something made by the Mars rover that you downloaded real quick. It's certainly quite unique in the subject. The strong, very phallic symbol down in the lower left front I like the juxtaposition with this, almost looks like this man o' war jellyfish coming up, and the two, you know, as far as showing size and difference in relationships, kind of works. The lighting is good. It's just it's a little on the busy side because of everything being in focus, but in this picture, there's too much in focus because the background doesn't have the interest that the foreground elements have. So if there was a way to, and it doesn't look like it because it looks like a wide angle lens was used here, and there's no way you're going to be able to control the depth of field with the wide angle lens here, even at wide open, because of the inherent depth of field that they provide. It's an interesting picture. Photographically, it's still an 8.
Parisian Nights.
Kind of tells a story, pleasant, well exposed, the young crowd being out there doing their thing on that Paris evening, and it's a good photo to put into the family album. This is the snapshot of what it is that we saw when we went on vacation. Photographically, it's pretty static as far as having one or two people really stand out and becoming a dominant subject. And then where you have the Leclerc up on the top, the awning, those bright spots on the awning are very distracting, way too bright, and they need to be darkened down. A technique you may want to use in Photoshop is use the eyedropper to an adjacent darker color. You then access the brush tool, set the brush mode to darken, and just run the brush over the white spots to darken it to the level or almost to the level of the sampling that you have done with the eyedropper. Is a great way to darken down and take down some very bright highlights. 8.
Steam Power.
Kind of interesting to look at. Belongs in the factory brochure. Photographically handled well, exposure-wise handled well. The extreme highlights kind of understood where they're blown out. That one really bright highlight in the center of the image, somewhat void of the steam detail. I'd like to have seen at least some sort of texture in there. The rest of the entire surrounding steam cloud has it. The fact that one area doesn't, to me, leaves a little bit to be desired. It's a great shot for the factory brochure, for the factory to put on their website, for the internet. For a photo competition, it's pretty much a straightforward rendering of what it is that was there, but it needs something to be brought to photo competition status. 8. Tough subject to photograph, guys, artificial light, and get something creative and all. Different that that you go out and do it, but you still got to make it a photo contest worthy.
Yep.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
The come on.
Okay. The beautiful subject. I mean, as far as your the technical aspects, the tonality that's captured and maintained, done very, very well, especially with a very dark sky. So obviously you know what you're doing when it comes to rendering a night scene. I commend you for that. My biggest nitpick about this picture is the tree branches that are growing right in front of the name of this particular building, hotel, not sure, restaurant, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Also, a little too much vegetation of the tree branch on the right-hand side. You could stand to cut off a good crop out a good 1/4 of that image, and then maybe take off about a 1/6 or a 1/7 off the top. And then that little technique that I was saying with the brush on the spotlights down with those 2 spotlights would have just toned down and given them a little bit more vibrance and color. Technically handled well, photographically, I'll go 8 again. I know I'm giving out a lot of 8s, but there's redeeming qualities to a lot of these where I can't really go 7, but I can't give them any higher scores either.
Just grazing.
Dramatic in the way that you have really filled the frame. Obviously, this particular giraffe, based on the perspective, was very close to your vehicle. And that's kind of cool when that happens. You tend to really, really get excited. You composed it well. The lighting conditions, somewhat flat. You can see that in the sky. The sky has got a lot of gray tones, and those gray tones are being imparted back onto the giraffe, especially on the brighter part of the face. The potential here to do some Photoshop work on the face to bring up some detail in there, especially in those shadow areas and in the eye area, so that the viewer would look more intently at the face of the giraffe as opposed to scanning the sky because it's so bright. It would help improve this picture. I do like the moment that was caught with the vegetation hanging out of the mouth. 8 on this one.
Uller Norse, god of winter.
If this was done where you juxtaposed the snowflake with the archer, that would be nice, but based on the light that I'm seeing here, it looks as if that is the head of the arrow that's being fired, which would reduce this down to a rendering of what it is that was there. And again, what is it that you did to capture this image to bring it to the next level? Here's something to think about when you get to a situation like this. What if you put the camera on a tripod and did a couple of different exposures and then played around in Photoshop after? And what you would have done with some of those exposures is used a slow shutter speed and created movement of the archer, and then blend the movement of the archer so that you could get a feel that the arrow maybe was being shot, or some sort of movement that would bring it past this static feel that is being presented in this image would have really helped. The lighting is good because the primary part of the light is on the archer, which allows the building, the snow-covered building and the mountains in the background to recede, which is what you want. But it's too static. But technically handled very well. 8 on this. Sorry for the recording on the 8s, but I'm just seeing a lot of it.
That is it for the F11. We had 2 9s. Good look at.
This is Lucius. I submitted 2 photos and it said you received them.
I don't see them on the list here. Maybe Carl can check. So this was rod, reel, ready for action. This was actually mine. I just took this down in the basement with the flash. Actually did 3 different images with the flash and then blended them together in Photoshop. And then converted it to black and white with silver effects.
Very simple, very graphic, very nice, very nicely done. It's one of those. It goes to show you that you don't need to really travel too far to make a great image.
Yeah, well, it was single digit temperature, so I wasn't going to be fishing. So next one, one more. This is City of Light, Victoria Ashby.
Yes, I actually was going to use this for long exposure, but I used different photograph instead. So I just decided to use it for artificial light. But I do appreciate the feedback because I did not catch that oncoming traffic. So thank you.
But you see what I mean? As far as like the lights being broken up, and then you got the beautiful flow on the red, and then the whites being broken up. Again, it's a nitpick, but it's, when you look at a photo, or when I evaluate a photo, I'm taking the entire image into account as opposed to bits and pieces.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to F16.
So we got 23. Okay.
Yeah, we have 23 in this group. So yeah, being kind of mindful of time. 7:30 now.
Okay, I will. I'll cut my for the newer photographers. I tend to be a little bit more, try this. Here we'll just kind of cut right to the chase.
Okay.
I
All
like.
right, so this is towards the exit.
I like the perspective here. It brings the people. It brings the viewer into the area where the people are, especially on the roof line. A little heavy on this foreground, moving in a little bit closer and not having that chunk at the of the beginning part of the. It had you move closer to walked 3 feet more in and got down low and still used the leading line of that structure, but not have it be so heavy where it stops you. That's the part, right? What's happening is it's stopping me bold and preventing me from getting to the people, but I do like what's going on with the people. Nice treatment with the black and white 8.
Sweet pea pods.
The triple is good to do odd numbers, works well. Lighting is just kind of plain, nothing really that makes it pop out like some of those other ones that we saw using the light box or the flash with the rod and reel. 8 on this one.
The border.
Oh, okay. One thing that was sent to me, and this, I was wondering what the deal was. There was a blurb that Butch sent to me where if you're photographing somebody else's artwork without you really doing anything to it, that it's up to the judge to decide that. Am I accurate in that?
Yeah, that's the right, capturing other art. I don't have it in front of me, the new guidance that we have. I don't know, Oz, if you do, but that's
I
the
do.
gist of it, is really yeah, how much of the image is someone else's artwork.
To me, what you've done is totally recorded somebody else's artwork, and there's nothing done that with what it is that I mean, maybe you converted it to black and white, but it's the other person's artwork, especially in the location where this was photographed, that makes it the image. So according to that rule, I'm going to go 7 on this one. I like the picture, but you know, if the rule is a rule, I'm going to stick by the rule.
Well, this is Carl. To be specific, the rule doesn't say that it disqualifies the image or anything like that. It does say that photographing someone else's artwork, and what we had talked about specifically was graffiti and things like that. We said that it may affect the judge's judgment of the image. You know, still, it's basically up to the judge.
Okay, well, to me, the credit goes to the person that painted that mural.
Okay. This is back alley.
The subject is getting lost in the array of boxes, and I want to see the subject there, especially with this mysterious red light, more so than I want to see the boxes. This mysterious red light is the more intriguing aspect of the light, as opposed to what's being more evenly, almost has like a bluish greenish tint to it, that's being lit with these man-made structures. I'm going to go 7 on this one. I tend to be a little bit tougher in the higher groups, just to give you a heads up.
Rushing to catch the train.
Very similar comment to what I said with one of the other pictures. You've got the setting here, but what you've done is recorded what's going on with the setting as opposed to waited for that opportune moment. Yeah, you've got a great setting, but you still need the actors to do what it is that they need to do. The actors are there, but they're overlapping. They are not. They're not. The performance isn't really there. And then I'm looking at something. If you look at the railing, the very front of the railing is tack sharp. Okay, so your focus point is there, but the people are further down. And as you go further down, you're losing the depth of field. So you also missed your focus point. 7 on this one.
Spiked drink.
So this, there's a difference between what I said is recording like the elf with the Christmas tree or setting up a still life. This is setting up a still life because if you look, the background is it's done very much on purpose. The way you've got horizontals, the way you've got verticals, the way you've got the glass lit, and look at what I'm really liking about this is the counterpoint that goes on. The glass is 180 degrees from the lighting on the background. And that's extremely clever. 9. I almost a 10, but closer to 9.
Who let the dogs out?
If that's what's going on here with dogs running around, I would have no idea that it's dogs maybe with lit collars and they're running around. And I mean, I see a doorway in the background, but there's nothing that says, I mean, it looks, if I look dead center, oh, okay, you know what? I take that back. I do see the eyes and the nose of the dog with ears that have some sort of movement. You know, so it's a fun exercise, but in this case, this wouldn't be the frame that I would choose to put into competition. There would have to be something else done that brings it to that next level. For your creativity, I'm going to go 8.
Oktoberfest.
Where's the guy when I'm seeing photographs of live musicians? I want to know that the guy is getting into it. Okay, you know, he's playing the accordion. It's not like Jimi Hendrix where he's bending the guitar notes and he's making all of these really cool faces and everything like that. Really not that much what you can do with an accordionist, but you've got to get something that's a little bit more dramatic than the hands here, just being on the keyboard. Possibly, you know what? I got it. 2 exposures. So one exposure where the accordion playing is doing exactly what it is that he's doing, possibly with a more intriguing face. But the second exposure where it's a very slow exposure and he's doing whatever song he's playing, where he's going from the bass part of the keys up to the treble part of the keys, and you blend those 2 together so that you show the accordionist really getting into the music that he's playing. And then the framing that you got going with the trumpet player, it's not helping the image here. 7 on this one.
Tree creatures exposed.
Kind of ghostly, very eerie. I like the choice of colors and lighting and what it is that you've done post-processing. to create the effect. God, thanks, guys. I'm going to have one hell of a nightmare tonight thinking about this image. But it's a strong photo, 9 on this. So when I wake up at 3 in the morning, maybe the maker shouldn't tell me who did it, because you're going to get a phone call.
Helps build strong bodies.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but what I'm seeing here is another rendering of what it is that's done using artificial light and just recording. This could be a tree in the daytime. Just because it's artificial light doesn't mean that when you go out, record something in artificial light, and it makes it a winning image. And that's what I'm seeing here. Beautifully handled as far as your exposure. I mean, you even got details in some of those really bright highlights, and you've maintained detail in all of those red tones, which is really, really tough to do. So technically, you've handled it very well. Photographically, it
was 8, Bob.
I did say 8, yes.
Yeah. We make it here.
Now that is an icon in our area, that's for sure. And again, the broken record concept. Now, if you look at this, when I talked previously as far as that dusk time frame, remember I talked about that twilight, that midnight blue sky? Look what you're getting here. So the time of day at which it was made, perfect. Exposure wise, still a little overexposed. You needed to have been 2/3 of a stop to a stop darker to really render the brighter highlights with just a little bit more detail. And then where is the person enjoying the ice cream? Where is the excitement going on the outside? It's a rendering of what's going on at Bonnie Bray. 8 points. But you did go out at the right time of day to make these kinds of pictures.
Islamic arches.
Nice with the symmetry. I am so curious to see where the bottom side of that arch falls, and I want to see it. I want to really, really see it. And the reason being is because the ripples that are in the reflecting pool are perfect. And to complete the reflection is what I want to see. The use of color, when you have like a yellow orange, when you think of the color wheel, blue is on one side of the color wheel, yellow is on the other side of the color wheel. Adjacent to yellow, you've got orange. So you've got colors that are on the opposite sides of the color wheel here. And whenever you can juxtapose those into the same image, you've done a great job. So I commend you for seeing what's going on here. As to, I'm sure there's a reason why you cut off that top part of the archway, but I want to see it. Even if you would have doubled up the exposure, made a duplicate of the top area, flipped it, brought it down, and merged it with what's going on down on the bottom, if there was a way to replicate the ripples. There is a program called Flood that would allow you to do that. But I do want to see the bottom part here. 8.
Circa 1950s repair garage.
Interesting subject, and definitely tells a story. Again, a rendering of what it is that's going on here. And I like the structure that you've incorporated into the into the file itself. There's a program that I know of called Evasa that has a structure slider that really brings up this textural detail. It looks like it may have been incorporated into this image, and it's done, the incorporation of the technique is done well, but it is kind of a recording of this old truck. And then the highlight detail is lost some of that richness. It needs to be saturated a little bit more. The blacks need to be enhanced a little bit more. And that one bright area in the roof needs to be very much toned down so that your eye doesn't go up to the ceiling and out of the picture itself. 8. Nice. I did like what you did with the mat too. That was kind of nice.
Filament bulb.
Done well. In comparison to what it is that knocked my socks off with that shot, the still life with the glass, this is more of a rendering of what it is that went on with the light bulb being lit with a cool background, but not being brought to the level of that shot with the glass and flipping those opposite background shapes and forms. 8.
Magic brew.
Clever, simple, very subtle pyramid-like shape of these the bubbles. The good choice of colors, the vibrancy in the colors of the dots is strong. There's a simplicity to this picture that the more I look at it, the more I like it. The maker is probably saying, keep looking at it, keep looking at it. It's you know what? Definitely it's a nice image. I'm gonna give this a 9. It just for the sake of its simplicity and very well handling the abstract part.
Night adventure.
I've got, wow. Okay, I can sum this picture up. Oh man, I hate to do this. I can sum this picture up in one word. And that word is 10. This beautiful. Yeah, let me tell you why. Okay, so I played that up on purpose. The reason being here is the Milky Way and the crossing over of the blue light that creates a diagonal to the Milky Way. I mean, I've seen these kinds of shots a lot. I've never seen one done like this. And then the two people down there adding intrigue. This is handled beautifully. Yeah, 10.
Nighttime at the wall.
We are on a roll here. That shadow just, okay, I'm going to sum this one up in one word too. And now it's lost the impact, but this is another solid 10. This is that's just beautifully handled. No merges with the people, the shadow, the placement of the 5 people, the fact that you've got an opposite number of people, some in silhouette, some not in silhouette, the bookends of the 2 people, and then the ones in the middle go smaller, and then the little girl in the middle, or like it looks like a little girl because she's wearing a skirt, is being the smallest one. It's like every detail in this picture was well thought out.
Puddle reflections of neon signs.
You've got a great idea going on here, but when you photograph these kinds of pictures, you need to put the camera on a tripod. There's nothing in this picture that is tack sharp, and this picture is crying out to be tack sharp throughout. This is one of those pictures that I find very, very difficult to score because it has so much potential. But I mean, when you're in the F16 group, you got to know that you got to put the camera on a tripod. And if you did put the camera on a tripod to use a cable release or something where it's not moving, maybe the wind or whatever, but there's no plane in this picture that has a tack sharp look to it. I hate to do this, but it's a 7.
After the rain.
Nice perspective, the telescoping of the trees, along with the lights that create this tunneling kind of effect is done well. 9.
Rotunda, West Baden Springs Hotel.
I'm just looking at the cropping. The cropping is handled beautifully, even throughout the entire image. The bright center brings the eye straight up to that center. There was a picture, I forget which one it was, where I talked about the tree with the movement, with the vignetting, where I said if you were to darken the edges, darken the corners. Look what the maker did here. The maker took the whole outside area of the picture, made it dark, left the center bright, and where does your eye go, guys? I mean, this picture is a huge instructional image to show you exactly what it is that I was talking about. The eye it telescopes right into the center where it has this spirograph type of middle, which is just beautiful. 9.
High water on Lake Michigan.
Good juxtaposition of the lighthouse with the people there that are placed in there's 4 people that are placed well. The person on the far left, unfortunately, merges with the tower of the walkway those structures, the support towers that support the walkway to the lighthouse itself. The others are within the half circles of the support pieces, but that one on the left merges, and that's really too bad. 8 on this one.
Forging a knife.
Kind of a clever, well thought out, different look to a image that is lit kind of artificially. I don't know if that's a thumb. I don't know if it's whatever it is that's up in that upper right corner is really, really a distraction. And the part that I'm finding very frustrating is with some judicious clone stamping, you could eliminate that. I don't want to say fairly easily, but done to the point where you would not be able to tell because there's so much texture in the surrounding areas from which to sample the clone stamp that it wouldn't be that difficult and it would improve the image tremendously. On top of that, you need a little bit more depth of field because the iron bar that is going into that fire cave, for the lack of other word, the rock upon which it rests is out of focus. And it either needs to be much more selectively focused or all in focus. 8. You know what? Because I do like the light on the inside. 8. I'll go 8. Yeah.
Balanced rock.
So you've done the light painting on balanced rock, and that's good. Balanced rock, though, the Milky Way, tack sharp. I'm seeing changes going on here, and it kind of goes back and forth. Okay, there it is. It popped back in. Even when it pops back in, balanced rock isn't as tack sharp as I'd like to see it. Could be one of two things. It could be with the use of noise reduction that it took out some of the sharp details because you had to use a high ISO, or the camera moved during the exposure or something. But everything needs to be tack sharp here, especially with the painting of the light painting on balanced rock. 8 points.
And that is it for F16. Looks like we have 2 10s.
Yeah, there were 2 almost in a row that were just
Yeah,
outstanding.
so this is Night Adventure by Danny Lamb. Danny, you on? I know you were here earlier.
I see Danny's name.
I've had 2 sent in also.
I did not see Nancy's on the list. So here, Danny, are you still there? Is there anything you want to say about your image? Make sure. Okay, he didn't have any notes here on that. So next one is Nighttime at the Ball by Oz Feniger.
Yeah, I took this in Oslo, Norway at the Opera House. and it was almost dark, but not quite. The figure that created the shadow was a little girl in the foreground with a very white dress. So I found that to be very distracting. So I cloned her out and cloned out the light and just left the figures. And this was actually handheld. That's about it.
Very judicious cloning and very, very wise to get her out of the picture and leave just her shadow in. Well created and well done post-processing.
Thank you. I was a little worried about the figure on the far right, that it was a little static.
It's got movement. It's got, you know, what's really nice about this too, Oz, when you look at it, the bright area on the left-hand side of the wall is balanced by the dark area of the shadow of the little girl with the dress on. So it's, you know, every component within the image is, to me, spot on. I mean, could I nitpick and say I wish that one, you know, the little girl in the center was a half a step more to the left? Yeah, I mean, I could nitpick it to death, but overall, it's very strong. And the dominating silhouettes on the left-hand side really balance out the little girl's shadow too, with the darkness factor. That it's very nice.
Thank you. Also, I left the area on the right side a little brighter to balance out the larger area that's fairly bright on the left side.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Done well.
Okay, well
that's it for me.
All right, thanks, Oz. Well, thanks so much, Russ, for your time tonight and for your judging. And thank everyone for, you know, images that were submitted.
Hold on, Cliff, we still have 9s in the F16.
Oh, want to go over the, oh yeah. Those, I'm sorry, yep. So here we have, this is Spiked Drink by Gwen Pina. Is Gwen on?
Oh, all right. Did she leave notes? Because I'm curious. Did she do any?
Oh, she did say studio set up with LED light strips, texture placemat.
Did the lights reverse in the glass naturally, or did she do that in post-processing? That's what I want to know.
She didn't say, but I think that it's natural with a reflection like that in a round.
That's
yeah.
Very, very, very clever seeing to set that up. I hope she set it up by herself and it wasn't done in, you know, as a studio kind of thing, you know, where you pay to go. But it's a strong photo.
Yep. Next one. Tree Creatures Exposed by Travis Broxton.
If I get a phone call in the middle of the night, I know where to find you.
Yeah, I'm coming after you, Travis. I'm telling you right now.
No, this is actually, these were started out as trees around the London Eye, obviously in London, and they were lit by these green lights, and that's the sky. I didn't do any Photoshop adjustment of colors or anything of this. This is pretty much the way they were lit. And I, you know, obviously cut it up and put it back together a little bit. So,
well, yeah. The whole flipping process is what I'm seeing here. That's where the creative aspect comes in with the trees and all.
Yeah, and then all the little things look like little people in the tree. So I kind of I did a little like HDR on those so they would jump out a little bit more.
Nice.
Okay, thanks, Travis. Magic Brew by Butch Mazuka, and he did leave some notes on that one. He said, I used an antique cup, saucer, and spoon, then used red food coloring for the water to fill the cup and focus stacked 3 shots. I then took a shot of a string of mini Christmas tree lights positioned about 5 feet behind the cup against the black background using a 50mm prime at f2.8 and blended the images.
So he shot the lights wide open to get the round circle. I was wondering how those were created, but as soon as you said Christmas lights, it's like, oh, yep, duh.
Yeah.
Cleverly done.
And there should be another, keep going. We did that one.
There was one more, the circle.
Yeah, there's, we have 2 more.
Right, this
one. Okay, this is After the Rain, also by Travis Broxton.
Yeah, this is 16th Street Mall downtown. I was driving across, crossing it on one of the streets, and I shot this from my car window. And I, cut it in half, flipped it, and accentuated the rain a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Just a few other little things to it in Photoshop, just to bring out the lights a little more and whatnot. So.
Okay, so one of the things that I was looking at as far as the flipping, because I saw the symmetry in the boxes, I saw the symmetry in what looks like the bus stop, but what threw me off to say that you didn't do that, on the left-hand side, you can see Caribou Coffee.
Yeah.
Did you like Photoshop out Caribou Coffee on the right-hand side?
Yep.
Nice. See, I got your number. And I was looking at that very much on purpose because I'm looking to see, it looks flipped, but then where's Caribou Coffee? You little devil. All right.
And I darkened the sky too, so yeah.
This is Rotunda, West Baden Springs Hotel by Todd Little.
Yeah, it's the Rotunda in West Baden Springs Hotel, which was on my drive cross country last year, my 13-state adventure during COVID, and I drove into West Baden Springs is really adjacent to a place called French Lick, Indiana, which is where Larry Bird was born. And this is a rotunda that's about 200 feet across. It's, I don't know, the building itself is 6 or 7 stories and this arch is above it. So it's about 100 feet in the air. When it was built, which was over 100 years ago, it was considered one of the, eighth man-made wonder of the modern world or something. I don't know, but it was just fascinating. And it was during COVID and I stumbled upon this hotel and there weren't even 30, the hotel probably has 1,000 rooms. And it's just reminded me a lot of the kind of the grandeur of the Broadmoor or something like that. But it was just a straight up shot. And yes, I followed Russ's schooling of years and did a little vignette to pull your eye in. So that's it.
All right, thanks.
The vignette really, really worked on this one, Todd. Well done.
Thanks, Russ.
And that is all of them.
Now, would you like me to look back in
wait, Danny said, yeah, so we didn't, yeah, Danny Lamb, his image was the one of the Milky Way and the light, the night adventure. So he said, sorry, my mic is not working. The photo was taken in Goblin Valley State Park, 30-second exposure.
Okay.
So great image, Danny.
That was nice. Well done.
So that's everything. I'll quickly, the March competition will be in the neighborhood. That's the category, and description is this is a quasi-open category due to COVID. In the neighborhood means any image captured in your general neighborhood, perhaps within walking distance of your home. The subject could be something you find in your backyard or in the window of your local bakery. Look for something unique with overlooked details, or take an uncommon perspective of something that's commonplace. Perhaps it's a subject you walk or drive by every day. The goal is to get creative close to home. So that will be for March.
I enjoyed the judging tonight's topic. It was fun, tough. It really, and you know, kudos go out to all of you that entered, because it's a tough topic to utilize and do something really photographic with it, other than, as I said a couple times, you know, go out there and just record night lights. You need to take it to the next level, and a lot of you did.
Okay.
So before we go, several people have said that their images were not, they sent them in, but were not shown. How do we address this? Anybody have suggestions? Or Bob, what do you know?
I looked in my folders and none of the entries are there.
And this is Carl. I looked on the website, because the website stores not only the form entry, but also the images themselves. And I always leave them until after the competition. So searching through the website images that were stored, searching in the database on the website, plus the spreadsheet that I've got, looking at all my emails that I get from the website of image submissions, etc. I did not see Larry's, I did not see Nancy's. I'm not sure what the issue was exactly. I would ask both of you, did you, when you submitted your images, did you see on the screen on the website that your image was submitted, that the form successfully submitted the images and took them?
I don't remember whether I did or not.
Okay.
This is Lucius. Did you see mine?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay.
I looked in all those places. Victoria's were in there, obviously, because we saw them in the competition, but I didn't see any of the places that I looked. I did not see yours.
Okay.
Now,
Hi,
obviously,
this is Danny.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, mine wasn't working. Yeah, for the night photo, it was taken in Goblin Valley State Park, and the 30-second exposure, and that's why it was totally dark and have to rely on light painting. And then the first light just turned on just for a short while to balance the light. And the couple in the picture was my high school buddy.
Did you add the blue in Photoshop to the flashlight light?
No, it is original.
Did you put a filter over the flashlight?
No.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Nice.
Great. So
Russ, thanks very much for judging for us.
You got it. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Some nice, great stuff. As always from you guys. I do miss seeing a lot of you, especially, you know, like some of the names that I recognize here, and it's like, oh, well, I hope, how's it going? And let's get rid of COVID.
All right, well, thanks a lot, everyone. And we'll just look forward to seeing you at the meeting in March. Have a nice evening. And thanks again, Russ.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.